Bullet Heaven is no stranger to the parody-style Cute-em-up. Many developers, including Konami, Taito, and even Jellico, have attempted, and mostly succeeded, at creating parody versions of their shooting games. In 1992, Hudson tried their hands at a parody shooter of their own, modeled after its popular Star Soldier series.
Star Parodier takes Star Soldier, Bomberman, and the PC Engine hardware itself and blends them into a super CD-powered vertical shooter with a ton of personality. But how does it differentiate itself from the bigger parody shooters out there? Let's take a look.
Of course, when it comes down to gameplay mechanics, Star Parodier doesn't take many chances in its core gameplay. Just like in Super Star Soldier, different colored pickups will allow for different weaponry to be used, and collecting multiple pickups of the same type will increase their power. Additionally, star-shaped defensive pickups and bombs can also be obtained.
Each selectable character has their own weapon set, which is themed after their respective series. Their fire types and defensive systems that each character has is quite balanced between the three, and despite the limited number of available characters, they are varied enough that the game feels quite different when using each one. Control-wise, Star Parodier is sharp enough by default that anything the game throws at you can be easily dodged. But should you need to, the speed of your craft is able to be tweaked on the fly by pressing the select button. After reaching max speed, pressing select again will reduce your speed and vice versa.
On the whole though, Star Parodier doesn't have an especially hard difficulty by default. Getting hit doesn't necessarily mean death if you're fully powered up. You'll lose your weapon power in several stages before you finally bite it. In fact, thanks to its tame difficulty, generous extend scores, and 1-up pickups, it's possible to end your playthrough with over 30 lives from a starting stock of 3.
That doesn't mean that Star Parodier pulls its punches once it does kill you. Death when you're fully powered up means you're back to nothing but base firepower, which, in later stages, is little more than ineffectual at the best of times, since there are so many huge powerful enemies that can ever so easily wipe you out repeatedly with huge fast fire patterns. With practice and a bit of memorization though, any pattern in Star Parodier can be evaded.
Beyond the main game is a set of battle stages in which a player attempts to get as high a score as possible in a prescribed amount of time. There are 2-minute and 5-minute battle stages. By default, Pyro Caesar is your ship for this mode, but it can be swapped out in the options menu. This is a great competition piece, but is also fairly limited as it's possible to clear the 5-minute mode. All things considered, Star Parodier is fairly shallow as far as other parody shooters out there, especially parodious, tend to be. On the whole though, Star Parodier is well built and fun to play from a gameplay standpoint.
There isn't a lot to take into consideration regarding the score in Star Parodier's main game. There's only one way to enhance your score, and that's by picking up orange orbs.
In the battle stage though, destroying specific elements within the stage will net you some pretty hefty bonuses. In addition, completing the battle stage with as much time as possible left over will give you a higher score. One thing that definitely does no wrong is the presentation in Star Parodier. This is one of the most colorful, vibrant, great-sounding shooters I've played to date. The best part is that, on a technical level, the PC Engine Super CD upgrade allows for a ton of often very large sprites to be displayed, and with very little slowdown, or none at all, despite detailed multi-layered backgrounds.
As with most PC Engine CD games, there are some great cinema scenes as well, though they are entirely in Japanese. Despite this, they aren't entirely impossible to understand, and there are some sequences that are sure to make fans smile. Many stage elements and enemies from previous games are represented throughout the whole game, so fans of Hudson's games should get a kick out of the visuals on the whole, even if it's not entirely that funny.
And of course, there's the soundtrack. One thing that's a little on the iffy side for me was the vast majority of the soundtrack in Sexy Parodier being borrowed from classical music selections from Beethoven, Bach, and the like. In Star Parodier, though, the soundtrack is all Hudson original, and unique to this title, save for a few themes remixed from Star Soldier, Bomberman, and even Hector 87. But the sound isn't without some flaws. There's no firing sound effect, which, while it makes the soundtrack come through a little clearer, feels a bit unnatural. And some sound effects are a little on the overused side. But these are only very minor gripes. When it all comes together, Star Parodier is just a game that makes you feel good while you play it. Not too difficult, plenty of color, and a super pleasant soundtrack. But how does it stack up? Let's take a look. Great control makes bullet patterns a breeze to navigate.
Easy to pick up and play, moving your character to where you need to be is a snap.
Star Parodier is way too easy by default for shooting vets, but newbies might face some harsh opposition post Stage 5.
Star Parodier isn't particularly challenging, but can definitely be unforgiving at times.
At 8 stages, Star Parodier shows you a worthwhile time, but doesn't overstay its welcome.
The length is just about right. Long enough to entertain without feeling flaky, but short enough to keep from feeling like a drag.
Visuals are bright and cheery throughout the game. Some really cool stage elements and effects are also employed.
Super cute visuals can only be described as ultra saccharine.
Star Parodier's soundtrack is upbeat and pretty great throughout, with nods to many classic Hudson games.
This OST is about as fitting as it gets, but some sound effects are slightly overused.
But Star Parodier is completely by the books, and is directly preceded by at least 4 outright similar games within its own series.
For obvious reasons, this game just feels a bit too samey, with no real innovation even amongst parody shooters.
I felt all warm and fuzzy when I played this game. It's not bust your gut funny, but it almost feels as if that was the point. Despite this, there are plenty of ha moments that make Star Parodier a worthwhile parody Cute-em-up, and it gets a 4 out of 5. Star Parodier isn't an overly expensive game, typically averaging $30 to $40 at auction, which is about as much as you should pay, though sealed copies go for much more. If you have a North American Duo or Turbo CD with Super CD upgrade, Star Parodier is also region-free. But for you Wii owners out there that still frequent the shop channel, Star Parodier can be downloaded on the Virtual Console for 900 points, or about $9.